Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift? Not because of what someone said, not because of how they looked, but because of the presence they carried? There's something undeniable about a man who moves with confidence, who knows who he is, and who isn't waiting for permission to take control of his life. And let's be real, this kind of man isn't just noticed, he's respected, he's remembered. He doesn't need to chase attention because his energy alone demands it. Today we're diving deep into what makes a man truly attractive, not just on the surface, not just for a moment, but in a way that leaves a lasting impact, because the truth is, it's not about looks, money, or status. It's about how you carry yourself, how you lead, and how you own your life. So if you're ready to unlock that kind of power, let's go. A man who knows his purpose walks differently. He moves with intention, with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to be announced. You can feel it when he steps into a room. He's not seeking validation. He's not looking around for approval, because he already has something that guides him. His vision is clear and his direction is set. He doesn't wake up wondering what he should do with his life. He wakes up driven by a force bigger than himself. Purpose isn't just about career or success, it's about identity. It's about knowing deep down why you are here and what impact you are meant to make. A man with a purpose doesn't get easily distracted. He's not swayed by trends, by fleeting desires, or by the noise of the world around him. He's anchored. He has a foundation so strong that no setback, no failure, no rejection can shake him. He understands that life will test him, but because he knows why he's doing what he's doing, he never quits. You can see it in his posture, in his eyes, in the way he speaks. His words carry weight because they come from a place of certainty. He's not guessing his way through life. He's building something real. And that's the kind of energy that people respect. That's the kind of presence that draws others in, because in a world full of indecision, of hesitation, of people floating through life waiting for something to happen, a man who knows his purpose stands out. People naturally follow a man with purpose, not because he demands it, not because he forces it, but because his vision inspires them. He doesn't have to prove himself. His actions do that for him. He holds himself to a higher standard, and in doing so, he raises the standard for those around him. Others look at him and think that's someone who knows where he's going. And in a world where so many people are lost, that kind of clarity is rare. A man who knows his purpose isn't wasting time. He's not indulging in distractions that pull him away from his mission. He understands the value of his time, his energy, and his focus. He surrounds himself with people who elevate him, who challenge him, who push him forward. He's intentional about his growth, constantly learning, constantly refining his craft, constantly evolving into the highest version of himself. Women respect him because he's not needy, he's not desperate for attention, he's already fulfilled by his mission. Men respect him because he's dependable, solid, and unwavering in his values. He becomes the kind of man people turn to in times of crisis because they know he won't fold under pressure. His purpose gives him a level of resilience that makes him unshakable. A man without purpose drifts, reacting to life instead of shaping it. But a man who knows his purpose, he's the one who creates, who builds, who leads. He doesn't complain about his circumstances, he changes them. He doesn't settle for mediocrity, he demands more from himself and from the world around him. because when a man is truly locked in on his purpose, he is unstoppable. Emotional strength is one of the most underrated yet most powerful traits a man can possess. It's not just about staying calm in tough situations. It's about mastering yourself on a level where nothing and no one can pull you off course. A man with emotional strength doesn't react impulsively. He responds with control, with purpose, with precision. He doesn't let anger dictate his actions, fear dictate his decisions, or doubt dictate his future. He understands that emotions are part of being human, but he also knows that emotions are meant to be managed, not obeyed. Most people are slaves to their emotions. They let frustration make them lash out. They let sadness keep them stuck. They let anxiety paralyze them. But a man with true emotional strength, he feels everything but is controlled by nothing. He doesn't deny his emotions, he acknowledges them, he processes them, but he never lets them take the wheel. He knows that power isn't about suppressing how you feel, it's about being able to handle it without losing control. In moments of chaos, when everyone around him is panicking, he remains steady. He doesn't get caught up in drama, he doesn't let pressure break him, and he doesn't crumble under stress. Instead, he steps up. He becomes the one others look to for guidance, for stability, for strength. He's the anchor in the storm, the person people trust because they know he won't waver when things get tough. And that kind of presence, that kind of unshakable energy, it commands respect. A man with emotional strength is dangerous, not in a reckless way, but in a way that makes him unpredictable to the weak. He doesn't react the way they expect. He doesn't lose his temper when provoked. He doesn't break down when life throws obstacles at him. He adapts, he strategizes, he moves with purpose. Weak men crumble under pressure, but a strong man sees pressure as an opportunity to prove his resilience. He understands that life will test him. He knows that there will be moments when he's pushed to his limits, when everything feels like it's falling apart, when the weight of responsibility feels unbearable. But instead of letting those moments define him, he uses them. He channels his pain into progress, his setbacks into lessons, his losses into wisdom. He doesn't let hardship weaken him. He lets it forge him into something stronger, sharper, more resilient. Emotional strength isn't just about handling your own struggles. It's about being able to handle the struggles of others as well. A man who is emotionally strong doesn't just hold himself together, he holds others up when they need it. He's the kind of man people turn to when they need reassurance, when they need perspective, when they need someone who won't judge them but will give them the truth. And because of that, he becomes irreplaceable in the lives of those around him. This kind of man doesn't let rejection shake his confidence. He doesn't let failure make him doubt his worth. He doesn't let temporary setbacks make him lose sight of the bigger picture. He's rooted in something deeper than his circumstances. He knows who he is, and because of that, no outside force can define him. The opinions of others don't break him. The judgments of the world don't change him. The highs and lows of life don't dictate his sense of self. A man with emotional strength isn't afraid of vulnerability, but he also doesn't let it control him. He understands that being strong doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being in control of those emotions. He doesn't bottle things up until they explode. He doesn't let his feelings turn into excuses. He doesn't allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. Instead, he masters the art of balance. He knows when to be soft and when to be firm. He knows when to speak and when to stay silent. He knows when to fight and when to walk away. The world will always test a man's emotional strength. It will throw challenges at him to see if he breaks. It will put people in his life who will push his limits. It will create moments where he has every reason to give up, to lash out, to lose himself in the chaos. But the man who is truly powerful, he never lets the world dictate who he is. He stands firm, he stands tall, and no matter what happens, he refuses to be anything less than the strongest version of himself. Leadership is not about what you say. It's about what you do. Words are easy. Anyone can make promises, talk about their plans, or say what they're going to accomplish. But real leadership, that's about execution. It's about showing up every single day, putting in the work, and proving through consistent action that you are someone worth following. A man who leads through action doesn't just inspire people, he challenges them, he sets the tone, he raises the standard. He shows through his discipline, his work ethic, and his results what is possible. When he speaks, people listen, not because he talks the loudest, not because he demands attention, but because they've already seen what he's capable of. There's a certain weight behind the words of a man who backs them up with action. Too many people in this world talk about leadership like it's a position, a title, or something that's given. But true leadership isn't about labels. It's about impact. A leader isn't someone who just tells others what to do. A leader is someone who lives by example, who holds himself to a higher standard, and who demands more from himself than anyone else ever could. A man who leads through action isn't interested in shortcuts. He doesn't wait for the perfect conditions for someone to give him permission or for an easier way out. He takes full ownership of his life, his responsibilities, and his influence. He doesn't make excuses when things go wrong. He looks for solutions. He doesn't blame others. He takes accountability. When he commits to something, he follows through no matter how difficult or inconvenient it may be. This kind of man understands that leadership starts within. Before he can guide anyone else, he has to master himself. His discipline is reflected in his habits. His mindset is reflected in his results. He wakes up every day and makes the hard choices, the choices most people avoid. He doesn't rely on motivation because he knows it's temporary. Instead, he relies on commitment. He builds habits that keep him on track, even when no one is watching, even when he doesn't feel like it. A man who leads through action understands that people don't follow words, they follow consistency. They follow the man who keeps showing up day in and day out, even when he's tired, even when he's discouraged, even when he's faced with adversity. Leadership isn't about being in charge. It's about proving through your behavior that you are worthy of being followed. This kind of leadership extends into every part of his life. And if he's in a relationship, he doesn't just talk about being a good partner, he proves it through his presence, his loyalty, and his ability to show up when it matters. If he's building a business or pursuing a career, he doesn't just make big plans, he follows through, putting in the effort, the time, and the sacrifice necessary to create results. If he has people looking up to him, whether as a father, a mentor, or a friend, he doesn't just offer advice, he lives it. A man who leads through action understands that people are always watching. He knows that the smallest details matter. The way he carries himself, the way he speaks, the way he treats others, even when no one else is paying attention. Leadership isn't just about big moments or grand gestures. It's built in the quiet, unseen moments, in the choices that seem insignificant, but add up over time. He doesn't seek validation or approval because he's not leading for applause. He's leading because it's who he is. He operates with integrity, whether someone is watching or not. He makes the hard decisions, the necessary sacrifices, and the tough calls because he understands that leadership isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. A man who leads through action doesn't waste time arguing, proving himself, or convincing people of his worth. His results speak for themselves. He lets his discipline, his consistency, and his resilience do the talking. When things get difficult, when others hesitate, when people are unsure of what to do next, he's the one who takes the first step. Not because he has all the answers, not because he's fearless, but because he refuses to let fear stop him. He understands that leadership isn't about being the most talented, the most charismatic, or the most experienced. It's about being the one who takes responsibility. It's about being the one who stands up when others sit down. It's about being the one who pushes forward, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain, even when it would be easier to quit. This kind of man doesn't need to convince anyone that he's a leader. He doesn't need to talk about how hard he works, how disciplined he is, or how much he's sacrificed, because anyone who watches him already knows. His results, his character, and his relentless commitment say everything that needs to be said. At the end of the day, being an attractive man isn't about superficial things. It's not about chasing approval, trying to impress, or putting on an act. It's about who you are when no one is watching. It's about how you carry yourself, how you handle challenges, and how you lead through action. A man with purpose commands respect because he's not wondering, he's building. A man with emotional strength is powerful because he's unshaken by chaos. And a man who leads through action sets the standard for others because he lives what he preaches. You don't have to say you're confident, your presence speaks for you. You don't have to prove you're valuable, your actions show it. You don't have to seek attention, because when you embody strength, purpose, and leadership, the world takes notice. So the question isn't, how do I become more attractive? The real question is, who am I becoming? Because when you step fully into your power, when you take full ownership of your life, when you refuse to settle for anything less than your highest potential, that's when you become truly